Picture it. You finally open the bottle you had been saving, the one you hid at the back of the cabinet. Your father-in-law's there, the one who actually knows whiskey, whose opinion you'd never admit you care about. You pour 3 glasses, then hand him a cigar you grabbed at the gas station. He takes one draw, and you watch his face change. He says nothing. He doesn't have to. You just told him everything about what you don't know. Here's what he tasted. That cigar isn't rolled from tobacco leaf, it's sheet. Tobacco dust, stems, and floor sweepings boiled to a paste, glued, pressed flat like wet cardboard, then sprayed with a chemical sweetener that films over your teeth. You didn't buy a cigar. You bought a scented paper straw, and one of the biggest tobacco companies on earth sold it to you at cigar prices. Light that next to real whiskey and it doesn't pair, it smothers. The bottle you waited a year for, gone under cardboard and fake vanilla, and you only get one first pour. You don't get it back. I learned this the hard way so you won't have to. 7 cigars that will humiliate you next to a whiskey, and 7 that make a $30 bottle taste like 100. We start with the saddest. A cigar president smoked, now made of paper. El Producto. A century ago, this was the cigar of presidents and movie stars. George Burns smoked one every day until he was 100, mailed to him free, because a legend with your cigar in his teeth beats any ad. That's the corpse they're propping up. Today's El Producto is owned by Altadis, a tobacco giant, and built like all their cheap stock. Wrapper and binder both reconstituted sheet, scrap ground to dust, and glued back into a leaf. The filler is sweepings. Milton Berle mocked one to Burns's face as a cheap man's cigar, and Berle was right. Hand that to someone and call it a pairing? Nothing inside meets the caramel in a bourbon, just flat paper going sour by the halfway point. The whiskey gets an apology, not a partner. You didn't light a cigar. You lit the receipt, and everyone at the table saw it. At least this one still pretends to be tobacco. The next one wears a costume to fool you at the register. Garcia y Vega almost works on you. A real leaf wrapper, crisp cellophane, a name with an accent mark that whispers Havana. All theater. The reveal, it's owned by Swedish Match, the company the cigarette giant Philip Morris paid billions to buy. No craftsman here. Under that one real leaf is a glued binder sheet around chopped scrap. For whiskey, it's fatal. There's no core. A pairing needs body and oils that shove back at the spirit and trade flavor. This gives nothing. Your bourbon reaches for a dance partner and grabs a mannequin in a nice jacket. It's not a cheap cigar pretending to be a good one. It's a costume a cigarette giant sells you and dares you not to notice. The next one drops the disguise entirely and just drowns everything in sugar. You know a Hav-A-Tampa by the wooden tip in the teeth and the sweet cloud it drags across a room. That tip is a confession. It's there because nothing in the cigar is worth touching with your lips. Another Altadis machine job. Sheet wrapper, sheet binder, shredded scrap, the whole thing bathed in vanilla sweetener, $1 a stick. You're not tasting tobacco, you're tasting syrup painted over cardboard, and it coats your teeth like a candy you regret. Next to whiskey, it's a car crash. The whiskey already brings vanilla and caramel of its own. Dump a candied cigar on top, and it all turns to cough syrup. And here's what should sting. Pair a flavored cigar with good whiskey, and you're not a whiskey drinker. You're a kid with a candy cigar holding a grown man's glass. The next one takes that trick further. It shows up pre-soaked in booze. Wolf Brothers looks built for whiskey night. The crooks come rum-soaked, some dipped in wine, sweet before you strike a match. A cigar that already tastes like a drink. Perfect, right? That's the trap. The alcohol's there to bury what's under it. A cheap molded drugstore crook, soaked precisely because the tobacco can't hold a flavor on its own. When a cigar arrives pre-flavored, that's not a feature, it's a confession. A rum-dipped cigar doesn't pair with whiskey, it competes with it. A real spirit in the glass, a fake one on the cigar, 2 sweet liquors elbowing, and the loser is the $40 pour you paid for. Show up tasting like the drink, and you're not a companion, you're a counterfeit, and your bourbon knows it. The next one fakes nothing. It's sat on the same shelf for 100 years, and nobody's ever asked what's inside it. Antonio y Cleopatra, the Grenadier. It's sat in American drugstores since the 1800s, and almost nobody has ever asked a single question about it. That invisibility is the product. It's stamped out by the 1,000, reconstituted binder, short filler, a price that's barely moved in a century because neither has the contents. It's not offensive, it's empty. And empty is worse for whiskey than harsh. A harsh cigar at least gives the spirit something to fight. This gives it a vacuum. Pour a honeyed Speyside, expecting the cigar to lift the fruit and malt, and the smoke just flatlines. You brought the most expensive thing in the room home to meet the cheapest, and the cheapest had nothing to say. 100 years on that shelf, and not one was ever worth a glass you cared about. The next wears its age as a badge, the oldest cigar in America. That's the only kind thing left to say about it. The oldest cigar brand in America. Founded in 1840, before the Civil War. Marsh Wheeling. Somebody's great-grandfather smoked these on a porch after a 14-hour shift, and there's real romance in that. Hold the romance, because it's the only good thing here. Everything after the history is a warning. A cheap machine stogie, natural leaf, but coarse, thin, rough, built for a working man's pocket in 1890, not a glass of aged whiskey tonight. $2 buys a pack of 5. The smoke comes off dry and blunt and fogs your whole palate like burning wet leaves. Beside a delicate whiskey, the whiskey's just gone. The cigar doesn't partner the spirit, it bulldozes it. There's a reason stogie became slang for rough and throwaway. This is the cigar that earned the word. Old isn't the same as good. Sometimes old just means everyone stopped paying attention. The last one doesn't hide behind history, sugar, or a costume. It openly assaults your whiskey, on purpose. And the one that pretends nothing, Parodi. It doesn't taste like paper. It doesn't taste like candy. It tastes like a house fire in your hand. Parodi is dry and fire-cured, the tobacco cured in smoke, the way you'd smoke a slab of meat. That's not the insult, that's the recipe. It's the Italian-American stinker your grandfather clenched on the stoop, throwing off a smoke so sharp and sour it clears a room. A few love it for that. Nobody should love it next to whiskey. A fire-cured bomb doesn't get smothered, and it doesn't vanish like the hollow ones. It torches the glass. That 12-year scotch you were nosing for orchard fruit and sea salt? Incinerated. Pour the cheapest bottle in the store instead, and you'd never know, which means the good one you opened died for nothing. Smoke a Parodi in a cold garage with black coffee, where it belongs. Bring it near a whiskey you love, and you're putting out a fire with a fire. Those are the 7 that wreck your glass and your name. Now the 7 that save both. One thing before the good half. Nobody paid me for any of this. No cigar company, no distributor, nothing. This channel exists so you never become the guy I was, the one who ruined a bottle he'd saved 2 years because he grabbed whatever sat by the register. If that's worth something, subscribe. Now the good news, because the right cigar can lift an ordinary bottle into a night you'll remember. Here are the 7. Romeo y Julieta. Start here. You don't need money or expertise. The People's Cigar. Churchill made the name. It's been rolled since 1875, and it's the safest hands you'll ever put a whiskey in. Medium-bodied, and that balance is the gift. Toasted nuts, cedar, a little coffee, never loud enough to shout over the glass, never shy enough to vanish under it. This is the one you hand the father-in-law. Pour a Buffalo Trace or a smooth Irish like Bushmills, and the cigar's warm, nutty core reaches for the bourbon's vanilla and the whiskey's honey. They meet in the middle like old friends, and this time he hands it back nodding. Buy one tonight for the price of a sandwich, and it'll never embarrass you. That's not a beginner's cigar. That's a cigar that knows exactly what it is. The next costs a few dollars more, and does what nothing in the first half could at any price. It survives a real fight. Oliva Serie V Melanio. A few dollars more, and you cross a line most smokers never find. Critics keep naming it among the best in the world, made by a family in Nicaragua that grows its own tobacco instead of buying scraps. Full-bodied but polished, leather, espresso, caramel, a warm pepper finish. Real long filler leaf, aged, oily, alive. That's why it takes a high-proof bourbon head-on, a bullet, a barrel-strength pour that would flatten a weaker cigar. The whiskey pushes, the Melanio shoves back, and instead of one killing the other, they trade heat and sweetness till you lose track of which you're tasting. Every cigar in the first half would have died on the spot. This one was built for the war. Best part, still under 15 bucks. The next isn't about power at all. It's about never letting you down. Montecristo. If the Oliva's the brawler, this is the diplomat, the one you reach for when it simply cannot go wrong. And here's where I make people angry. Everyone name drops Cohiba, because Cohiba's the name civilians know. Cohiba is what you pay for the band. Montecristo is what people who actually smoke reach for and never think twice. Mild to medium, creamy, cashew, coffee with cream, a whisper of salted caramel. Hand it to the friend who's never smoked one, next to an easy bourbon like Basil Hayden's, and watch the moment they get it. No drama, and that's the luxury. When you're marking something that matters, a promotion, a birth, a hard year survived, you don't want a surprise. You want a sure thing. Some cigars are an adventure. This one is a promise it keeps, every time. The next isn't a company at all. It's a son and his father. My father. Read the name again. A son's tribute to his dad. Jose Pepin Garcia is one of the most respected makers alive, and his family put my father on the band so you'd never forget who it's for. That's not marketing. That's love you can light. Taste the obsession. Dark chocolate, espresso, black pepper, a raisin sweetness underneath, box pressed, a finish that won't quit. Set it against something with a spine, a Booker's, a Four Roses single barrel, an Angel's Envy. The cigar's cocoa climbs into the bourbon's barrel sweetness, and they build something taller than either alone. This is the one you smoke with your own father or your kid the day he's old enough, because some things are supposed to mean something. You're not smoking a product. You're smoking a family's whole name, staked on one blend. The next comes from a man who threw away another life entirely to make it. Rocky Patel. Steal this story for the next time you light one. Rocky was a lawyer in Los Angeles, a good one, a real career, and he walked away from all of it because he fell for tobacco. No dynasty, no inheritance, just a man who bet his whole life on getting one thing right. The edge and the decade are what you want. Full, smooth, leather and coffee, and a peppery kick that never turns harsh. Oil and age in these, the opposite of the flat papery smoke from the first half. Pour a Wild Turkey 101, proof and spice, and let them spar. The cigar's pepper meets the whiskey's fire, the bourbon's sweetness cools its edge, and the whole thing balances on a knife. A man quit the courtroom to make this. The least you can do is stop insulting your whiskey with glued paper. The last two are the summit. The cigar collectors chase for years, then the one that beats it. Arturo Fuente, the Fuente OpusX. The one collectors hunt for years, shops ration it, people pay double just to hold one. The Fuente family did what every expert called impossible, grew a world-class wrapper on their own Dominican soil and bet the family name on it. Powerful. Spice, cedar, dried fruit, leather, a finish that keeps unfolding. Not a beginner's smoke. It demands a whiskey with the same ambition. A cask strength, bourbon, or flip it and set it against a peaty Islay scotch, a Laphroaig. Big smoke meets big smoke, and instead of a war, you get two heavyweights who respect each other. You might wait months to find one. You'll remember the exact night you smoked it. Try building a memory like that around a gas station cigar. And still, one cigar beats even this one. Number 1, the cigar to end the night in this list, Padron. The 1964 anniversary, and its bigger brother, the 1926. Ask real smokers for the single best partner to a fine bourbon, and this name comes up more than any other. No gimmicks, no flavoring, no wooden tip, no sweet spray, no costume, everything the first 7 hid behind. This one refuses. Just Nicaraguan tobacco aged for years, rolled by a family that's done nothing else for generations. Cocoa, coffee, toasted nuts, a caramel richness that tastes distilled on purpose to sit beside brown liquor. Pour a Knob Creek, a Four Roses, a Maker's Mark. You won't hunt for the harmony. It's just there, instant, like the two were made in the same room. This is the ceiling. It was never about money. It's whether anyone respected the tobacco before it reached your hand, and whether you respect the man you're pouring for. Get this one right, and you'll never again be the guy whose cigar gave him away. So before you open that bottle you've been saving, ask yourself one thing. Is this a cigar you'd hand your own father? If it isn't, put it down.